nothing.
You know, a ship at night makes noises.
Yeah.
Lots of noises.
I want to.
Okay. Oh, hi there.
Oh, this is our camera? Yes. If that's okay with you. Alrighty. Well, we're gonna start off. I know it's kind of like cheesy, but like it's like our interview process.
Outline.
Yes, our outline. But could you give us your full name and your ranking?
Robert Stephen Williams.
Alrighty.
I was Navy Captain 06.
Okay. Alright. Well, we have to introduce ourselves too. So I'm Sam, and this is Kayla. Yes. And we're from Wando High School, and we're here just to learn a little bit more about everything. So, where and when were you born?
Born on my birthday. Iowa City, Iowa. August 1st, 1940.
Okay, gotcha. Well, were your parents involved with like any type of branch of the military? Nothing?
No, a farmer. Born on a farm, raised on a farm. The only thing I can remember is I had an uncle who was in the Army Air Corps,
Yeah.
but for some reason, ever since I was this big, I wanted to fly Air Corps.
Ah, that's cool.
And I don't know why or how or what it was, but that just was my goal. Tried to screw it up, but I made it.
Did your parents support you going into the military?
Oh, yeah.
They did?
Mhm.
Okay, gotcha. Did you have any siblings or anything?
I have one brother, he's 8 years younger than I.
Oh, okay. Did he go into the military or
No, he
anything?
did
Oh, okay. Are you guys close or anything?
not. Pretty much. But back in the 50s and 60s, 8 years is a big difference.
I was 8 years older than my brother. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. How was it a big difference?
Well, just the events that were going on, I was on one side of it, and he was immersed in it, I guess. I won't say immersed in it, but I mean, he was exposed to it.
Gotcha.
He never had any serious problems or anything like that, but he was. And I was talking to somebody last night that she had sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You know.
Oh, there you
That's the
go.
way it was.
Mm-hmm. There you
And
go.
we, being in the military, we couldn't do the drugs and stuff like that. I mean, there was, I don't know why. We didn't.
I'm not sure that's catching him.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Oh,
there. We'll get you right there. There you go.
hi, folks.
Hello there. There.
That's right. Hi, olive oil.
Oh.
Okay.
So how did you make your way through the military? How did you get out?
Okay. When I was, I would say I wanted to fly airplanes, and when I was a junior in high school, a relative of my folks, who was just like a cousin or whatever, came by and visited us, and he was a Marine pilot. Now, Marine pilots are actually naval aviators. Okay, everybody know that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna make sure you don't know that. They'll try to tell you that, but because they're part of the Marine Corps, but they're naval aviators. They're trained by the Navy. So he was saying that the best program for going was a regular NROTC program, and that's where at that time you got books, tuition, and $50 a month. It's higher now, but and so I applied for it when I was a junior, took the test, whatever, and got on the list. I was not a prime selector, but by the time we got there I was selected to go to Iowa State. I had been accepted to Stanford, USC, Southern Cal, the other SC, and Dartmouth, something else, I don't know. But they send you where it's cheapest. In-state tuition.
It's like that,
That's
yeah.
what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, we understand. We really
And I don't know, what is tuition now? See you later.
Hi, guys.
Bye, nice meeting you.
Same here now.
Ole Miss out of state is like 23,000. That's without room and board, whatever. it's
Yeah,
called.
without room and board.
A year?
That's about 45.
And in-state is 8,000. So if you get above, I think like a 14. If you get a 1490, they give you money. They pay you, which
Okay.
that's kind of difficult for me, but no, we're working on it.
I did well in high school, and when I went to college, I thought this is a no-brainer. It's a brainer.
It's a brainer. It's a brainer.
Yeah, and so I worked at it, and I say that phrase you've probably never heard. I coined the phrase that so I was what's the one? That's terrible when you get old. I was a academically redshirted. It took me 5 years to get through college.
Really? Oh my goodness.
So, and I did. You want to know what my degree was?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I started out in aeronautical engineering. I found out that was too hard, and then went through some evolutions and everything. And they finally found one that would allow me to graduate. And it's called distributed studies. I didn't have a major. I had 4 minors:
Okay.
industrial administration, industrial psychology, economics, and naval science.
Wow.
If I'd stayed in school 2 more quarters, we were in the quarter system, I could have had a triple major.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
But I wanted out.
Yeah, you were done.
I can imagine.
So I was just looking for a way out.
Oh my gosh.
So and that's what my major, but I graduated.
Oh my gosh, that's
Do
incredible.
you remember your instructors? Like,
Where?
Well, like moving into your
Yeah.
like the next part of like your life, and like when you got into the military, how do you remember like going through it and like having any specific instructors that
like what were they like?
Mhm.
Well, it's it's an instructor-student relationship. I remember some of my high school instructors and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Actually, 2 of my high school instructors had been my father's
Huh.
instructors when he was in.
Aww.
Really?
So anyway, but you get into and it's a little different relationship. But yeah, I remember them. I can give you the names. I could give you the names of them, and especially later on in advanced and basically. But one of them that I was an instructor when I was in Meridian, Mississippi, he was a Marine.
Okay.
Marines are different. He said, I'm Captain Kogerman, and you will walk on my left side at all times. You will walk 2 steps after me. You will get into the aircraft first. You will get out last. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Turned out one of the best instructors I had, and I was a pretty good student, so it worked out well. And I ran into him in Vietnam later on, and he was sort of.
Oh my gosh. No, I sensed something with the Marines. What's going on with the Marines?
Oh, it's just a rivalry.
It's a rivalry, okay.
No,
Okay.
I mean, because there is no Secretary of the Marine Corps. It's a commandant. So they all fall under the Secretary of the Navy.
Gotcha.
So that's where they fall.
Gotcha.
And they are naval aviators, but they're Marine officers.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But
Jump in, originally in the history of the Navy, you know, when they had sailing ships,
Mhm.
and they blast back and forth, and then they get together, and then you try to take over the other ship.
Yes.
Those guys were trying to take over the other ship,
Yeah.
the Marines.
Okay.
They were the guys with the swords and everything. They were the guys that invaded the other ship once you got close enough.
Gotcha.
So that's the start of the Marine Corps, and it was a part of the Navy.
yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
In fact, our Medal of Honor Museum, people say, you don't have any Marines listed. Yes, they are. They're a part of the Navy.
Part of the Navy. Gotcha. My grandfather was part of the Navy, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was a paramedic on board, so.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
He was corpsman?
I'm sorry?
He was a corpsman?
I'm not sure, but, he doesn't tell me the stories because he's like you'll get grossed out, and I was like, okay, I do have a weak stomach, so I would
Oh, you do?
like, yeah, I probably would not take that very well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's very interesting. Did they motivate you? Like, did you respect your like instructors in a highway or
For the most
for
part.
the most part?
Yeah, I mean, I had one by the name of Pilmer, and his specialty was he would do CCAs, and as you're flying, he would just be constantly talking to you. It's on and on and on. And I thought, I can put up with that. By the third time, I was ready to jump out of the airplane. Watch yours, watch yours, watch the on and on. And it turned out I got one of the best hops I ever had. Like above averages and everything. But that was his shtick.
But he helped you get to where you were.
Yeah, right. And his shtick was scan. And you have to have a constant scan. Always.
Oh yeah.
Meatball line up Bangor, Texas. Okay.
Did you adapt well to like the military life,
Yes.
social and the food?
Well, yeah, I did. My upbringing, being from the Midwest and everything, and growing up in a farmland,
Yeah.
responsibilities and everything. My folks were good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Did you were you nervous at all going into that, or like? Cause I feel like.
You're crazy nervous, I remember, and my folks used to say that when I first signed up to go into ROTC, I said, well, there goes the next 10 years of my life. Because I go to college, and then I had a 5-year obligation and to pay back to the Navy, so I was set up for 10 years. Now, to you all, that sounds like a long, long time.
It does. It really does.
It's a drop in the bucket.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it is. It goes fast.
Okay.
And sometimes you got to do some things that you maybe didn't want to do. But if you have your goal, do it.
Okay, fashion. That's pretty great. So you what'd your brother do? Did he?
He stayed around Iowa, and he went to college. He didn't graduate. He ended up, he was a bartender for a while.
Oh, okay.
And then he ended up managing a bar. And then he came back and he farmed.
Oh, okay.
And for a while until my parents passed away, and we still have the farm.
Oh,
He
really?
manages the farm.
Very cool.
We get along.
Good. Good. Does you go up to Iowa a lot, or?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm going next week.
Oh, okay.
I go probably 6 times a year,
Gotcha.
which is a benefit of the airlines. Since I'm retired from the airlines, I can go there.
Well, getting back to where, when you were serving, where exactly did you start out serving?
Okay. Well, went into flight training right out of college. Got married. That's another thing. I graduated from college, got my commission, and got married all on the same day. The day after Kennedy was assassinated.
Wow.
Nice.
And you had to be one of those things. Nobody knew if you were going to graduate, and you had to have your graduation and your commission before you could get married, and it was chaos. So it was shortened. Everything was shortened up, banged up.
Yeah.
So, and then I went right down to Pensacola, started flight training, and Pensacola, went to Mainside Ground School, and went out to Softly for primary training, and then started when we went to jet. I went to Jet Pipeline, so I went to Meridian, Mississippi, and then I came back to Pensacola for air-to-air gunnery. And from Pensacola, at that time we went to Kingsville, Texas. And when I got done, when I got my wings, I went to Virginia Beach, Virginia. And that was where I started flying the A6.
Are you still married to the same girl? No.
I'm remarried.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's a tough life.
Especially the Navy, because these guys leave on a ship and don't come back for a long time.
Yeah.
She doesn't get to visit you on the ship.
And, it's not like, because communication is not, if we wanted to call, talk on the phone, and we were in the Philippines, you'd have to sign up for a time to go to a phone, and you get the phone and make a call, and it's about $5 a minute to talk, and now they have instant communication.
Yeah, there weren't computers or anything.
No.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Just imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine either.
When I was in Vietnam, you typically wrote a letter a day because you wanted a letter back every
Yeah.
day. So I was married when I was in Vietnam. Mail call was important.
Yeah, it is.
You couldn't talk.
Yeah.
In fact, I didn't see her for a year.
Yeah, it's tough.
I can imagine. It's very tough.
And I did have one of my, of course, then I went with the airline, so I was gone a lot too. My oldest daughter said something that I don't know how she said it, but it came out, well, I wouldn't do that because you're gone all the time. Well, she's gone a lot too, but it's a little different. Right? She's very different, and that's fine. But it's a different kind of gone. When you're gone, you're gone. And if you're
I understand.
you're in a different world.
I can imagine. So, like, where did you talking about traveling, where was, like, the farthest place? Like, where did you travel a lot? Or where did you go? Or, because I know that's probably a ton, but...
Yeah, I'm with the airline. I've been around the world.
Around the world?
Is that what Delta?
TWA to start with, and then it was Piedmont and US Air.
Oh my gosh. So, you went to Vietnam, and what, can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what, I'm sure if you don't feel...
Yeah, no, I can talk. I'll talk, and it's just a little hard to relate what it was, but I first went to Vietnam in 1966.
Okay.
I was based out of Oceana, Virginia, Oceana Naval Air Station, but the A6 was a new aircraft. And so they sent us, we went to the West Coast, to San Diego, and went aboard the Constellation, which is out of San Diego, North Island. So we did all our workups out there on the West Coast, and then when we left from there and went to Vietnam. Now, I say the A6 was a new aircraft. It was a new airplane, and the first airplane, the first squadron to deploy with it was VA-75 aboard the Independence. They were out in Norfolk. And then the second one was the Kitty Hawk and VA-85, and then I was in VA-65. Now, VA-75 and 85 had a lot of problems.
Okay.
There were 12 plane squadrons, and between the two of them, they lost 12 aircraft
Wow.
and 10 crews. So,
A6 has 2 people. Crew
Okay.
2 people. We'll show you one up there.
okay, so I'm sitting there in the training command, or in VA-42, and we're sending people out every couple of weeks. We send a crew out from the airplane. This is interesting, but it was, I don't know, it just happened. That's just the way it was. So, and that came up in our tour, and the A6 had those problems, and they lost a lot of airplanes, and a lot of people, and when we got out there, the A6 was under the gun as to whether it was they were going to keep going. It was the Navy's first carrier-based all-weather attack aircraft.
Oh, wow.
And magic stuff and electronics and whatever. And the higher-ups were all, and so when we went out, we had a lot of tech reps, Grumman people, Nord radar people, all over the carrier, and they were with us. And every time we'd fly a mission, we'd come back, and they'd take the airplane below, and they'd tweak it.
Huh.
Electronically, just to make sure. So
Yeah.
things were going pretty good for us. We only lost 2 aircraft,
Okay.
and they were both day. And our primary, we lived at night, okay, in bad weather. We would do as much as it. So we ended probably 40% of our stuff at night, and maybe by ourselves.
This plane was primarily a bomber.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Bomb, yeah.
And it carried a pretty big load, and then during the day with all our navigation gear, if they were on strikes, we'd have what they call alpha strikes, or maybe 15, 20 aircraft, and the A6s would lead it, because you would lead it to the target area.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a lot of that too. So the 2 airplanes we lost were daylight. One was on a coastal recce type thing, and we did all our work up north.
Mm-hmm.
And they got hit, and the pilot that got out of the water, the pilot ejected, and the BN did too, but he didn't get picked up, so he was lost.
Oh, wow.
On the other one was an inland target, and I was the wingman on that, and popping up, getting ready to roll in. And these are terms that you probably don't understand.
I'm
You'd
processing a little bit.
Yeah, you'd run in at a certain altitude, and then you'd pull up to maybe 7,000 to 8,000 feet, and roll in, get pepper on the target, go down and drop your bombs. So we were popping up, and I was looking at the target, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw a flash or something, and looked up, and my lead was just a little bit ahead of me, had gotten hit in the wing, and the wing came off of it.
Oh my gosh.
And so, and I ended up dumping my bombs,
Wow.
and just so I get and make a circle around it, because when you dump your bombs, the computer would tell you where you were. So we had to put the lat long,
Oh, I gotcha.
so we
Okay.
knew exactly where we were, and it could read that out, and made a circle come back around. And I heard something, and it was the pilot. I recognized it was either hit or getting out or something like that. And it came back around, and looking for him, I saw the airplane impact downrange, and I looked up, and there were 2 chutes in front of me. So I knew they both got out, so I missed the chutes. No, they were POWs for 6.5 years, and they didn't know for almost 2 years that they were POWs.
Huh.
Although I had known that they'd gotten out. So.
Wow. That's incredible. That is incredible. You talked about the Kitty Hawk. I heard a little bit about the Kitty Hawk. What can you go into more about that? I've
That's
heard
an aircraft
that
carrier.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
That's an aircraft carrier.
I remember hearing something about that.
Well, Kitty Hawk, you know what happened to Kitty Hawk?
I vaguely vaguely about it.
That's where the Gray brothers first flew.
That's most okay. I was like, I know that
It's
name.
it's up in Virginia.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
North Carolina, actually.
Okay.
Threading the coast.
I was trying to.
I sent them the Scuttlebutt magazine about the Forrestal.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
yeah.
might want to talk about that, because that's a unique experience of being on a ship that blows
Yeah,
up.
it was great to learn about that. I was like, that. It's,
Okay.
Please do. It was great.
Well, I remember a lot about it. But if you were to nail me down as to time, I have no concept of time,
Really?
of what it was going on. I mean, it just, things were going and I was doing things. Now, in retrospect, I was probably in shock because I was getting ready to do something and all of a sudden I was taken out of my world and put into another world that I wasn't prepared for. But you react. You do what you do. Okay, me personally, I wish I had the paint I can get it for you, but I was a little bit forward, which is fortunate because most of the stuff happened after me. And we had 3 A6s getting ready to launch, and I was number 3. And they were taxiing me forward, and then the bombs started going off and rockets started going off up the flight deck and everything. And they taxied me up, and they got me in a position where I couldn't taxi anyway. I was between an airplane and whatever. So, and my BN, I looked out, and the wings are folded on the airplane like this, and the A6 is a wet wing, so you have fuel in the wings. So I'm in the left seat, and I looked out in the right seat, and I can see a stream of fuel coming out of the wing.
Oh no.
I said,
That's not good.
That's not good. I know that's not good.
So, and we were getting ready to go, so we were buttoned up, and I'd moved forward, and the PN said, yeah, I said, well, let's get out. So I shut it down, opened the canopy, and we didn't have a ladder, but the ladder was up, so you'll see it when we get up there, so we had no ladder to get out. My BN, he didn't want to go out his side because that was where the fuel was. So we unstrapped her, and it just dropped off the side. It's only, what, maybe 8 feet, something like that. Something like that. And it dropped off, and we went back. We both came out, and I see strange things happen. We had knee pads, that things we rode on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we had all the classified call signs and stuff like that. And I got out, and I came around, and mine dropped off.
Oh.
I gotta pick it up. So
Oh my gosh.
I picked it up off the ground, and then went back around, went back behind the island, and there was, I won't say carnage, but there was a lot of problems. But we ended up finding there was a guy that had a big chunk out of his leg.
Oh wow.
And we ended up carrying him down to sick bay. And it was the last person for sick bay was full. But you could, and I say this, and I'm not for no reason, but if you didn't know where sick bay was, all you had to do is follow the blood.
Oh my God.
This is all the people that they carried down there. And the triage, you know what triage is? So they were doing triage. I'm sure that, I don't know.
Well, there was 170 guys killed.
134.
134 killed.
What is I actually don't know. What is triage?
Prioritizing who you treat.
Oh, okay.
Those that you can't,
Yeah.
sorry folks, you know.
Oh, okay.
And you just, ones that you can save.
You work on them first.
Oh, wow.
The same thing that he is involved in, Senator McCain, was in one of the planes at the rear of the ship where the explosion was. He crawled across the nose of his plane and jumped through the flames to get out. So
Oh my
he was in an A4.
A4s.
Wow.
But there's, in that magazine I sent you, there's all kinds of pictures.
Okay.
And it also shows a diagram of where his plane was.
Where it was, it shows the one that it came off of. We could show the F4 back on the starboard side that came across and hit that A4.
Yeah, I think it has a diagram.
Yeah, and it shows, and
See, a missile accidentally fired from a plane and hit another plane.
Wow.
And that started a fire, and the fires cooked off the bombs. It gets so hot that they explode. So it was
Oh, wow.
and here's a little side story. The guy that was in the F4 was the Air Wing LSO, landing signal officer, and it wasn't his fault, but it bothered him so badly that he turned his laser.
Oh. So he thought it was his fault. So he.
Yeah, he just did his thing.
Oh wow. And what plane was yours when I think I missed that a little bit. What plane?
An A6.
A6? Oh, okay, gotcha. What were all the planes that you flew? A lot?
Well, for all intents and purposes, I flew the A6 a lot.
A lot? Okay, gotcha.
That was my primary airplane on active duty. I flew an EA-6A, which is an electronic warfare airplane in the reserves. I flew C-118, which was a DC-6. I flew S-2s. I flew A-4s. I flew a lot of different training aircraft.
I think you said you flew the Phantom too, didn't you?
I said that I had a ride in the Phantom.
Oh, you had a ride.
I had a ride in the Phantom. I had two rides in the Phantom. Backseat, took a look at Cherry
Can you describe the Phantom a little bit?
The Phantom?
Yeah, I've heard a little bit about that.
I'll show you.
We're going to show you.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
We got a Phantom, we got an A4, we got the Intruder.
You got an F-14. F-14.
You flew the F-14?
Huh?
You flew the
No, I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I tell people.
I was just saying,
Yeah.
there's 3 planes specifically that you did fly that we have an example.
And the F-9. I flew the F-9.
Okay. Which was your favorite fly?
The A-6.
A6?
Just because of what it took me through.
Oh, gotcha. What was probably, can you give us like a story, like a crazy story you had, like one of the craziest memories you have? And even if it doesn't have to be crazy, it could be something funny or one of your most favorite memories. Love to hear that too.
Well, I
Ones that you can tell.
yeah.
He was talking about that earlier. He's like, we have to hold some down.
Well, this is one that I visit about every day.
Oh God, I'm ready.
I don't mean that from any understanding. It takes longer to tell than it happened. We're on an Alpha strike. Maybe 15 airplanes, 20 airplanes. And I was the number 4 A6. And we were leading all these aircraft. And then we were going to a strike right up around Hanoi. And which is the POL, which is petroleum, oil, and lubricants.
Okay.
Storage area. And I was number 4, and number 3, he's dead now, so it's he was weak.
Oh.
He was a weak pilot. You find out who's weak in the film.
Okay.
And we were going to the target, and he kept lagging back, and I was up there trying to push him, trying to get him up there, and which is you don't want to do either. You don't want to be right there with him. And just pushing him, it got worse and worse and worse, and finally the other guys got maybe a quarter mile out in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
We're supposed to be right up in that area because everybody else is behind us. So we had a warning system in the airplane, and it came up, and it goes, and it's called the APR-27, and it means when it comes up slow, it means that you're being tracked by a radar.
Okay.
And it's pretty accurate to like within 100 feet or whatever, so you know that. So I said, my call sign was Milestone. Milestone 4, Singer Swell. And then it went to fast. Milestone 4, Singer fast, and that means it's tracking. The missile's tracking. Somebody called missiles away out of Hanoi. And I'm trying to figure the target out here, and there's one over there. And I looked, I didn't see anything, and my lead dropped his bombs and left.
Oh gosh.
And I'm hanging out
Oh
This
wow.
is the slow guy that left.
there. Yeah, he left. So, you know, I just went ahead, cobbed it full power, get up there, see what I can get up there close, and get into the area where I can maybe drop the bombs. And like I say, this takes longer to do.
Yeah.
All these things are going through my mind. And I think, well, okay, now this is good because my trajectory is changing. I'm going downhill. My speed is changing. I'm accelerating as I'm going downhill. These are all problems for the missile to solve. And so I got impressed, and I looked up for the target and got in the area somewhere. Looked up and I saw something you don't look at. So never look at the donut.
The donut. What?
Well, if a missile's fired at you,
Mm-hmm.
there's a hole in the middle, and there's
Oh,
fire
gosh.
on the outside. And I was looking at the donut,
Oh no! Oh no!
and so I was
Which means it's coming right at you.
it's right at you.
Oh my gosh!
And so I went and I pickled my bombs and put 6 or 7 of these on the aircraft. And I looked at it, and the missile was coming, and I saw it. And it's got little guidance things on this SA-2. They're not much bigger than this. And I could see them moving, trying to guide on me. And I saw writing on the side of the missile. It wasn't English.
What's not English?
It
What's not English?
Not
was
English.
not English. And so I just loaded the airplane up and pulled. And then all of a sudden I saw it start to slide. I mean, the real motion started, so it wasn't. And it slid behind me, and it went off behind me.
Oh wow!
And I heard it and felt it.
Oh my gosh!
And, but nothing happened. So I went on out, and I said to my piano, I said, "Did you see that?" He said, "I was looking at the one over here."
Oh my gosh! That is crazy!
Yeah.
Oh my
So
gosh!
anyway, and like I say, that's anyway.
Wow.
So, and I joined
Your
up
whole
on,
life,
huh?
your whole life floated.
Yeah, right. If I could have thrown up, I would have.
Wow.
But anyway, I ended up joining on the number 2 man, and we went back to the ship. And when we got back to the ship, you do a debrief. And we went to this debrief, and this friend of mine who was on the ship, we got in there ready, and I kind of slid into the guy on the boat. Because I was mad.
Oh,
I would be too.
Me too, just a little
And I
bit.
said, "Don't you ever let me hang out and stick me out there like that." And the friend of mine who put me out, he said, "Okay, let it go." And in the meantime, the F4 was behind us. And the one of the F4 says, "Who's the number 4 A6?" That was close, wasn't it?
Yeah, kinda.
Just a little bit. Oh my gosh.
Just a smidgen.
When you can see the
Veins.
veins on a damn missile, I mean, they're like the size of your hand.
Yeah.
That baby's close.
Oh
Yeah.
my
You
gosh.
can see it moving.
Oh my goodness gracious.
So that's probably my
pretty
best
crazy.
story.
That's
Yeah.
pretty crazy. Oh
And-
my
but
gosh.
at the time, you're busy.
You're busy.
And it's afterwards. It's afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
And
Almost
I
toast.
basically have I haven't told this to maybe 3 other people.
Wow. That's incredible. I can't even
Yeah, I
like,
can't imagine.
fathom the
Well, and I've been in other situations too. And I don't know there is a phenomena that when things are going like that your mind is snapping like this.
Mhm.
But it slows it down. So
Oh.
the mind is a wonderful thing, it really. And it's working, and it's working, and you just look at it, and afterwards, you know. and-
Afterwards. My
Yeah.
goodness.
But we come back and
But it exploded behind your plane, but you had no damage.
no damage. It has a 60-degree cone. So if it was behind me, if it just behind me, it wouldn't hit me. And so it went up just basically behind me.
Wow.
It was coming along.
That's it. It's like I listened to this and I'm like I can't even fathom like no how like you just weren't like at the moment did it just like
You're in the zone.
you're in the
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline. My gosh. That's
Well, I
insane.
mean, and it's that's it. You've been there.
Not that intense,
Well,
but
not that
yeah.
intense, but you look at and you see things like that. Do you play sports?
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. But you know, like Michael Jordan, he said he'd get in the zone. Well, it just things just the basket gets bigger, the hole gets bigger, and
This
Swung faster.
is nowhere near what he went through, but our base was rocketed one night, 2:30 in the morning, and 2 rockets hit the courtyard between my building and the next one. One hit next to my building and blew up a bus.
Oh, goodness.
And, you know, I'm sleeping in shorts. I headed for the bunker. I tell people that's a night I found out I could run barefoot on a rock road for 100 feet and not feel.
Oh.
yeah.
Because your adrenaline's
Yeah, you
going.
don't.
Yeah.
You're survival. It doesn't matter if
Yeah,
your
you're
feet hurt or
survival.
what. You're moving it. Now it's nowhere near like that. But,
Well, it is. I mean, it's. I mean.
Well, you're in grave danger. I was, you know, when I was on a 40,000 man base, a rocket hitting me is pretty rare. But,
Yeah. Well,
but they were coming in.
but you know, I tell that story, and only I don't have PTSD. I might apply for it. I don't know. But
But you are crazy.
well, I've never been anything but crazy. But there's only one time that I thought about this, and this was probably several months ago, where I actually got the feeling that I realized how close I was.
Finally
Yeah.
came in and
Yeah.
realized all that.
Otherwise, it's
Just like it just happened. Like it was just something that like,
it happens.
that's crazy.
Doo-doo happens.
No joke. When we're talking about crazy things.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, and there's a couple other stories that are interesting. you know.
Very interesting.
But let's get on with it, and we can spend more time later. doing
Yeah.
what you want.
If you guys are ready or stuff, we'd love to see what's
Yeah.
up.
Yeah,
We'll go
let's
see
go.
everything.
Okay. Okay, now, do we have stairs on this ship?
Yes. No. No, it's a ladder.
We have ladders.
All right.
All right, ladders.
Good
You
day
know
to
what-
wear platforms.
You know what? You know why they're like called ladder, or why they're ladders? Why we have ladders?
Oh, you could slide down them.
Well, that's true. Chutes and ladders. Okay, there you go.
That's good. No, I like it.
But it has to do with space.
Mhm.
Ladders
Okay.
are steeper, so if you had stairs or thing, you know. That's why the wings fold on the airplanes.
Hmm?
All the Navy planes fold wings so you can stack more in.
Oh, I did not know
Park
that. Okay.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So
Well,
that's what, when he said he was waiting for takeoff, his wings were still up. And that's hydraulically, right? You put them
Yeah.
down hydraulically, you put them down just before you take off.
oh, okay. Oh,
But
that
you'll
was.
see, you'll see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Why don't we go up the elevator? It'll be quicker.
Okay.
Oh.
Plus you and I are with me.